Okay, so the next texture maps I'm going to explain are the diffuse and the specular. We'll touch a little bit on gloss, but not too much. I'll explain why a bit later. But so basically we got two objects here. We got a flat plane and a sphere, and this is just to show. It just shows things off a little bit better, what effect things have. I've just got a shader in here that I've edited a little bit. I can give you a link to that in the description. But right now we've got absolutely no materials applied to them, really, or no textures. It's just flat grey. You can see the diffuse here is grey. The specular is white. And just on that topic, what we'll do is we'll turn the specular all the way to 0. You can see when your specular level is 0, everything's quite matte and not shiny. Specular on say 20, and it's way overblown, overexposed specular. We'll just set it to 1 because that's kind of reasonable. Specular power is the same as a gloss map. What that does is you increase it and it will tighten the highlight. If that makes any sense. I've set the maximum to 50 in this shader. You can put it quite low and it'll basically, yeah, you can sort of see what it's doing. It'll make it, you'll get like a tighter reflection versus a more spread out sort of matte one. And then the specular level, you can drag this down and it will just be less intense. So hopefully you can see the difference there. If we set that completely off, again it goes back to matte, and then the gloss has, or the specular power as UDK calls it, has no effect because there's no specular highlight. We'll set that to, let's say 20, and this to 1. So, actually 20 is a little bit higher, we'll go with 10 for now. So, a diffuse map, for starters, will change this grey, and they'll change it on a per pixel basis. Right now we've applied a flat color to everything, but we can also apply an image, right? As you probably figured out by now, but just in case you didn't, we'll go over it. We've got a red and blue checker map here, and if I apply it to these objects, it looks like that, right? And as you can see, the specular is still there. The specular highlight is just going over the top of everything. So as you might be able to intuit, we can also control the specular level on a per pixel basis with a texture map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this black and white into the specular map slot, and what this will do is anything sort of darker will be less shiny, anything lighter will be more shiny, or more the reflection will be stronger for the specular highlights. So if I turn on the specular map, you can see that all the red checkers are completely matte, while all the blue checkers are pretty shiny. And the other thing that's kind of cool is the specular power, or as Max would usually call it, the gloss. It still has an effect, right? And you can sort of really see what's going on with that now, because it sort of contrasts against the red checkers. So we'll turn that up pretty high, I guess, which looks kind of neato. You can sort of see what sort of stuff is going on there. So the other thing to keep in mind is, well, the gloss or specular power can actually be controlled with a texture map as well, where dark areas are lower on the gloss like this, and lighter areas are higher, tighter highlight. It's not used that much, so I'm not going to go into demonstrating it too much. If you sort of start getting advanced with your materials, you might want to start using gloss maps. But most of the time it's not used, especially not on environments and things. It's usually only used on sort of hero assets or things that really need it. So the last thing to touch on before we sort of finish up with this stuff is the specular can actually be colored as well. What I've got here is just a sort of the same image, but just with some different colors. You know, light yellow and stuff like that. You can completely invert the colors, and you'll get like, if you invert them perfectly, your highlights will be cancelled out and still seem grayscale. So I'm going to apply this to this, and you'll be able to see kind of what goes on. It's not hugely noticeable right now, but what we'll do is we'll turn off the diffuse, and you can sort of see, we'll turn the power down a little bit as well. The actual reflection is, I'll turn this up to 2 maybe, just to make it a bit more extreme. The actual reflection is colored. Put the diffuse map on again, Oh, that's really extreme, isn't it? 15 we'll say for the gloss. You can get, you can see the highlight here is a little bit more blue, and these are a little bit more yellow. A really good use for that stuff is if you want to say, I'll grab a light yellow color or whatever. Export this as the specular really quickly. Trying to get this done fast so that we don't spend too much time rotting around. And then I'll grab, say, a color like this maybe for the diffuse, and I'll show you that we can make a sort of brassy looking color, which is kind of neato. So they will hot load in, and we got the yellow highlight on a sort of browny colored diffuse. So that can get you some cool results. Just to experiment with that kind of thing. Again, it's per pixel, so I've set it to flat colors, and there's a lot more you can do with it, but keep in mind that specular can be colored. It's different per engine. Some of them only accept grayscale images, but UDK happens to support full colored specular, which is lucky for you guys, I guess. You can have a mess around with it. Apart from that, just have a go, have an experiment, and you'll hear from me soon. Later.